In this episode of the Circle of Fists, we are doing the Friedman Dirty Shirley Mini. Dave Friedman's Dirty Shirley Mini is a 20-watt ultra-compact 1x10 version of the popular full-size Dirty Shirley, which was designed for guitarists that want a vintage classic rock tone inspired by British tube amps from the 60s and 70s, but in a compact size and weight. The Dirty Shirley Mini is fueled by a pair of EL84 power tubes and includes a 3-position gain structure switch. This little beast delivers vintage crunch and cleans up nicely by simply backing off the guitar's volume knob. Extremely versatile, this amp is capable of producing many styles of music, from blues to rock and country, by adjusting the gain knob, structure switch, and master controls. Loaded with Celestion Greenback 10-inch speaker, the Dirty Shirley captures the legendary sound of Celestion's 1970s 10s with a surprisingly meaty tone. The G10 Greenback features a complex, full-bodied tone with creamy mid-range, smooth vintage top end, and rich low-end thump. The Friedman Dirty Shirley Mini retails for $1,800.
Hi, my name is Woody Garcia. I've been playing guitar for about 20 years or so. My favorite style of music is funk and soul. Gear I'll be using today, 2012 Fender American Select Telecaster with a twisted telly in the neck and a Texas Special in the bridge.
Hey, I'm Billy Stevens, and I'm happy to be here with the Tsunami Cable family. I've been playing guitar for, 30 some years, and my favorite style of music is rock. Everything from classic to indie to emo. When you play a long time, you kind of get exposed to a lot of music. So I just like good, upbeat, pop, rock, punk influenced music.
Chris Welton. Play with the Barstow Prophets. I've been playing, I think I started playing guitar back in college, so that was about almost 30 years ago, but I've been playing professionally for about the past 10 or 12 years. My favorite style of music, I guess it would be best described as probably a blues rock, and that's mostly what I play. As far as my gear goes, my number one is always this beautiful 1979 Gibson Les Paul Custom. It's the 2550 edition. 3 pickup. These are Series 7 pickups, factory pickups. This is a 81 Tim Shaw, also a Gibson pickup. It brightens it up a little. Otherwise, guitar is pretty much stock. That is a Schaller roller bridge. I like it a lot.
Hi, my name is Christopher Akitas. I've been playing for roughly 15 years. I mostly play a lot of hard metal, like thrash metal, and psychedelic blues rock stuff. Today I'm going to be playing this amazing USA Strat that I have. It's basically my favorite, all rosewood neck. It's a USA.
Hi, my name is David Walston. I've been playing for about 13 years. My favorite style of music would have to range between like jazz and that brutal death metal, but I mainly play thrash metal, I guess. Due to a lovely work injury, I will not be playing, but I will give my 2 cents.
All right, so we are doing the Friedman Dirty Shirley Mini,
That's correct.
and it's a 110,
It's a 110.
110 20 watt, right?
20 watt combo.
Combo tube head.
Yeah.
or-
Celestian, Greenback, G10, Celestian.
Awesome. Obviously, this is your amp.
Yes.
Thank you, Woody, for bringing it.
This is one of my Friedman amps.
One of the like 15, 20,
No, I
40.
wish I had 40. I only have 2 now.
I only have 2 now.
But I
Okay.
have a bunch of cabs now.
Okay.
So I've got 4 Friedman cabs.
Wow.
I
All
want
right.
more.
I want more.
Give me more.
You're an addict.
Give me more.
You're an addict.
Yes.
All right, so everybody's played through it. So, where do we want to start? Who wants to go first? Wait, well, Woody, why don't you go first? It's yours.
Okay. I bought this not too long ago as a backup amp.
Gotcha.
So my main rig is a 50 watt Friedman small box,
Yep.
which is basically like my version is the Wildwood Guitars version, so it's 3 channels. So it's like the first channel is like a plexi channel, the second one's like the BE channel, and then the third channel is like an HBE channel, which is just like crazy amounts of gain. So I wanted an extra amp just to have for smaller gigs, because 50 watts for a really small room is too much sometimes.
Right.
So I got this thing, and it is mind-blowing how chunky it sounds for as small and light as it is. I mean, I'm a single coil guy, and I can still just like make that thing scream like no problem.
Yeah.
So what I really dig about it is you don't need to crank it to get a good sound out of it.
Gotcha.
Like all of his amps, fantastic master volumes.
Awesome.
So I mean, it's really simple in terms of controls. It's like you have a gain, you have a volume, a bass, a middle, and a treble, and that's it. The only other switching is there's a 3-way gain structure switch, and it's basically lowest gain to highest amount of gain.
Gotcha.
Just on tap with them. It cleans up beautifully. All you gotta do is just roll your volume knob back, and it cleans up. Even in the highest gain setting, it still cleans up beautifully.
Nice.
I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah.
Super transparent effects loop. Like, you heard the difference from running in the front and then
Yeah.
putting it in the back, and just
Oh,
like
man.
like all your time-based effects just really shine.
Yeah, I
you
loved
know,
it.
like
World of difference.
I don't know what else to say other than I just really love it.
Cool.
So I did have a scenario in which my small box, my main amp, I let it fall out of the back of the car
Ouch.
on an excursion, and luckily I had that with me. So, because I was on the road for a couple days to play a couple shows,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
and used that thing with no hiccups.
Cool.
Like, it was perfect.
Nice. Very cool.
So.
All right. Well, who else wants to go?
Billy?
Billy.
Yeah. The thing that really, really impressed me with this was the multiple gain structures and the response, how they're set up. I'm a low watt amp guy. My biggest amp is 50 watts. Pretty much most of my amps are all 50 watt amps. And I like that because I can open them up and I can really feel like I'm getting them pretty as close to wide open as I can, and in using the amp without it just being out of control. This being 20 watts, and you said it was EL6 power tubes?
EL84s.
EL84s, yeah, with a 12AX7 pre. Sorry, I was thinking 606. It's basically all the components that I've almost always used in amps. I'm a big bassman guy. Have a couple 66s, mods, and so this is right up my alley. But the thing that really blew me away was the multiple gain structures. The clean sounded good, you know, a neck pickup on a Les Paul through this thing, and I was like, I'll leave it at that. Is beautiful. I didn't run any effects, didn't use a loop, just plugged the Les Paul into it. The middle gain structure setting, messing with my different pickups. I have a coil tap, so I can go single coil. So I could get like a Stratty kind of Fender vibe out of it with that, with the middle setting with a single coil. But then when I put in the high gain and then actually got on the knob, I could put it next to any Soundgarden song or any.
Yeah.
Just, I was floored by how it gridded up, and it was a really natural gain, which I'm big on. I'm huge on like a good tube overdrive versus like a distortion, and to me that's night and day. And so to have like a tube amp where you just feel it grinding and I was stunned, and I was able to crank it up pretty loud, and it just sounded huge. And it's a single 10.
Yeah.
It's easy to carry, easy to move. If I got something like this, I'd probably want to get at very least a bag for it. But I was blown away.
It's crazy how big it sounds for how small it is.
Really.
Yeah.
Like, you mic it, you're good. You can play outdoors, big giant show, and with that thing, no problem.
Right.
Like, no problem at all.
It sounded huge even in the cans whenever you guys were playing. I'm listening to the recording. It sounded massive,
right.
I mean, which is cool because that's what they're gonna hear.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounded massive. So very cool. Chris, either one?
Boy, I really like the samp. I really, really like it, and I have to say I got stuck on that high gain setting, and I just didn't want to go anywhere else.
It's so creamy and just.
It is. What I thought about with this, what this amp reminds me of is that, you know, a lot of us, many times, the majority of our gigs are indoors, and usually we have more amp. We have too much amp for the room.
Yeah.
You know, we're not playing a really big venue. It's usually a smaller venue. And so you're looking for the big amp sound, but not necessarily the big amp volume. And certainly space is a premium. You know, it's hauling equipment gets old pretty fast. So I'm telling you, I would be really tempted to buy this. I just think that everything about it, the sound was really, really good. I kept looking behind me because I couldn't believe it was coming out of such a small amp, and I didn't know it was a 10. I thought maybe there was a 12 in there or something, but you know, it really, really, really knocked my socks off. It really, really impressed me. This is the type of thing though that I'd want to take that, and I'd want to have like a whole Saturday before a Saturday night gig where I could spend the whole morning and the afternoon like just dialing it in, turning it, tilting it, doing whatever I wanted to do to find, you know, to bring it around to my rig. But it sounds great, really, with a minimal amount of stuff on it, just the amplifier itself. And one of the things that you mentioned, which I totally agree with, is there's a huge difference between distortion and overdrive. This amp, to me, when it was high gain, it was being overdriven but it was not breaking up. The signal was not becoming distorted. To be honest, it was almost kind of crystal clear overdrive, and that's that gives it the big, what I always call the sort of stadium rock guitar sound. It's it's that huge, but you want it to be clear and crisp so that your stops on the note are crisp. It's not bleeding or echoing all over the place. So I was really, really impressed with it.
It's not very often for me that I can just plug into an amp, put everything at 12 o'clock and be like, wow, this already sounds good.
Yep.
You know, like it doesn't take too long to just dial in what you want. And like just being a single channel amp, it's just really simple. You know, like you could use it in high gain setting and then just literally use your volume knob all night to clean up, you know, or then, you know, certain stuff you want to stack a couple other overdrives or whatever, turn the gain down to just that. For me, my favorite point is where it's just barely breaking up a little bit. Like it's just a tiny bit dirtier than clean.
What it reminded me of was I have Mesa Boogie Studio 22, which were the small combo amps from the early 80s. And I've also in the past had a Mark II. I had a Mark II-B that did have the reverb unit in it. And those were small combination amps that were either crystal clear, or if you hit the overdrive channel in them, they kind of went like insanely overdriven. But they were small and they were easy to take to gigs, and they weren't too much amplifier, and they were really, really, at the time, state of the art and high quality. This is like a great modern version of that, done even better, I thought.
That gain structure switch too, it's just like,
Yeah.
you could have your gain knob set the same way all night and then just almost use the structure switch when you want to just like do something different, you know. It takes pedals great. Also, you know, not that you even really need gain pedals with it, you know, but obviously all like the time bass and stuff in the back to the loop sounds awesome. Like I love just I kind of tend to lean on like a slap back delay for like my lead tone all the time. I just like that sound.
Bathroom.
Yeah, just
really
something,
short
just a
bathroom
little
sound.
something, you know, and yeah, I just love it.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with what he said. It's just it's an amazing amp. I don't want to talk about it like forever because I will, but if I just had to point out two things that I really loved about it, where I like the reactiveness of it. I don't know what to say about that gain structure, but it was extremely fun to play. Something about how it reacted, and then with the pedals when we put it through the loop, it just sounded like you could put so much more and more. Like it was not anywhere near its limits at all. I was just like, damn, okay, well, what can we do with this? I just kept hitting stuff and turning stuff, and I wish I had more pedals to click on it once to just hit it all at once. You know? Like,
it's
damn.
fun. It'll do it all. You know?
Extremely
Slippery
fun.
slope.
Freaking love it. Yeah.
Dave?
So the amp sucks. No, that's an incredible amp. It's such a tiny little package, but man, it packs a fucking punch.
Right.
It's kind of not a surprise for Friedman. I've tried the Steve Stevens model, and that thing was pretty rad. But
I haven't played that one yet.
Neither have I.
it's awesome.
I want to though.
But this, man, it's super versatile. You can get like the really nice cleans as you guys were describing, but then you can really get a nasty kind of tone to it. And I wonder if you put like an overdrive in front of it, if you can really get that death metal tone out of a little tiny thing.
Oh,
I know that's such a
Well,
dumb thing to say with something like
Remember
that.
when it was feeding back right now? That was the Klon was on
Oh, okay.
in front of it. So just that singing
Mm-hmm.
violin like feedback. I just love that. And and it's like there's nothing like a tube amp and just like feeling that air.
Yep.
You know, and getting that feedback. I can't get I can't get that same feedback from like a modeler or from like certain pedals. You know, it's got to be the real deal for me.
Yeah.
So.
Alrighty. So obviously nobody likes it, which is
What are you gonna do?
You said it was
$1,800.
$1,800. Okay.
Yes, it's $1,800 for the combo, and I think the head is like 15 or something.
Okay. All right. So right around there.
Yeah.
All right. So the big money question. Obviously it's yours. You already own one, but everybody else.
I wish I had the second one. So
Would
I
you
could
buy
run
a
it in
second?
stereo. Honestly,
That'd be crazy.
like,
Damn.
Running
you
them
can run them identical settings and
Right.
leave it in stereo, and
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That'd be crazy. Okay. Who else would be interested in getting one of these?
I'd also like to say real quick
Uh-huh.
that despite it already sounding amazing in the small package, when I do use my Friedman 212, it's huge.
Okay.
Like super huge.
Wow.
So you can run that as an extension cabinet
Yeah,
on this?
I can. It's got you can it's the speaker's
Those
not
quarter
hardwired or
inch?
anything. Yeah, it's just quarter inch. You can unplug it and plug another cab
That's
into
nice.
it.
That's a
And
good,
it's so light. It's kind of like bringing a head.
Yeah.
So if you want to just set it on top of a 412 and plug it in,
yeah.
you're good to go. Like, I've used it with my 212 and it's pretty nice.
I've always appreciated that feature when the amp
Definitely.
company's like, oh yeah, you do this.
For sure.
Yeah, that's cool. So $1,800. Yes. No. Billy.
I think it's incredibly worth it. And if I was gonna go shopping for an amp tomorrow, this would be the first place I'd stop,
Nice.
and probably the last place I'd stop. Realistically, it just sounded that good,
That's awesome.
and probably I'd spend a lot of time there because I'd want to see what other models they had
Right.
and what credit cards I can max out.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you're like, oh, but I could get the bigger one.
In the same form factor, like the same size, they have the pink taco,
Uh-huh.
which is basically
Been a fan for a long time.
it's basically like this is kind of more vintagey voiced
Okay.
circuit.
Gotcha.
The pink taco's a little bit more modern sounding.
Okay.
You know, it's got like can definitely do like that 80s,
Uh-huh.
you
Heavy
know,
metal shred.
hot rodded Marshall sound. But also can get, that more modern sound too.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it comes in the same thing in like a little 10.
Same
Also, same
configuration.
combo cabinet basically.
Do they make a cover for it or a case or
I
something?
have
that you can-
just a Tukey cover for it.
Okay.
So which keeps it pretty protected. And
Yeah.
it's so light. It just
I'm so hard on Tolex.
yeah.
Everything I got looks like it's been to war.
Well, your road case is pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Those are just too heavy for me. I would
yeah.
just have them wrapped in foam.
Yeah.
I would buy it. I would especially buy it if my band upped the number of gigs we were playing. If I was playing a lot of gigs, I would absolutely be looking for a smaller amp. Again, because a lot of times you're playing in small rooms, and so you don't need too much amp.
Well, your super reverb's double the power.
Right, exactly.
like-
And then the other thing is, from what I heard, I would record with this amp in a heartbeat. I really would. I was very, very impressed.
Someone buy it for.
The only question I have for me that looking at it right now, and it was kind of funny before we started to film, is I'm trying to think, in a bar, in a club, how would I set it up on stage? I mean, it's so small, I wouldn't want it on the floor, because first of all, I'd have to bend down to get to the controls.
Yeah.
But, and then when you said, I started to think about, well, what about an extension cab? Which it probably could drive. I wonder if they make a matching cab, which is the same size, so you could just stack them.
They don't have a 10-inch extension cab. The smallest one they have is a 12.
Okay.
And I have one. I have three. I have three Friedman 112s. Two are matching. They're for the small box, and one is for the old amp that I used to have, which is the Friedman Runt. and it's not much bigger than this. And I've used it through that too, and that also sounds amazing. Honestly, I put it on a bar stool or a chair.
Right.
I mean, it does. I mean, you do get that low end resonance from it being like on the floor, or at least like on like an amp case or something.
Gotcha.
I don't mind it being elevated. Like, I'll sometimes put it on our subwoofer, you know, and it's so small I can just kind of stash it anywhere.
Right. I would want it up. I would
Yeah.
want it up.
I like it elevated. I
20
like
inches up
access to
there.
the control.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I hate having to like walk over to my amp and like bend over and like try to fiddle with like knobs and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
And they make those like stands for combo
Yeah.
amps. I mean, that get them up off the ground too. So you could probably go something like that too, if you had to.
honestly, like, if I was gigging with this all the time and I didn't have my other one, I would put this in a road case and just put it on top of the road case.
Right.
You know,
gotcha,
at
yeah.
my gig. Wheel it in, take it out, and
Top
just
off,
put it on
on
top.
top. There you
So
go.
I'd still have that whole surface area
Yeah.
for it to resonate.
Right.
You know, and it's the perfect stand. You know, it's
Yeah.
not going to get knocked over
Yeah.
Right.
or whatever. It's safe.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
a great idea.
bar stool's probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
But all good.
Yeah, what- yeah, guilty.
Guilty.
It works,
We
yeah.
all make bad decisions.
Yeah. Chris?
I would definitely buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Cool. That was easy.
So I got kind of a lame answer to this. Since I owned a Kemper, my cheap ass wouldn't buy it. With that being said, can I profile it soon?
I don't know about that one.
No, I would buy it.
Yeah.
For reals, I would buy it. It's a pretty rad amp.
That's awesome. All right. Well,
That whole Kemper thing, that's questionable.
whole nother discussion. A whole nother.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to do.
Tables.
Maybe we'll have to
Yeah.
do that one in a different.
Maybe
video.
we should do one of these for the Kemper.
Yeah.
And talk about that
Oh, maybe we
ordeal
could
too.
do that.
Yeah, if you guys want to.
So,
We could definitely do that.
pretty cool.
Touch
All right.
on it.
One more thing real quick. This is the Dirty Shirley Mini. There is a bigger version of this. There's a 40-watt version.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, still single channel.
I was gonna say, hey, what else does
It just
got?
has, you know, double the power tubes.
Okay.
But the only real, like, I guess, big difference still has this gain structure switch, I believe. The only difference is it has a low and a high input.
Oh okay.
And where are they made?
So, they're made in, Dave's shop is in North Hollywood.
Okay.
I don't know where they make them, but it's somewhere here in LA.
Right.
I have a random question. Have you used it before? Do you know if you can run a pre or like a pedal board directly into the effects loop and skip the pre on this and just use the power?
Okay, this brings up something interesting. One thing I have experimented with recently was using my small box 50 and this in both wet dry and in stereo. And the way I did it is I just took my left and my right, come out of everything in the loop, and I did put like coming out of my last pedal and what would be the loop, plugged it into the return and never plug into the front.
Yeah.
And so it does completely bypass the preamp,
It just
EQ and
runs power.
everything. It's just volume.
That's
So you're
rad.
literally using the power stage. So I was actually able to use the multiple channels on my small box
Exactly.
and still have my preamp from my preamp tone from my other amp come through here also,
That's
which was rad. And as long as my volume leveling was pretty consistent,
yeah.
I could just set it and forget it.
Yeah.
So I've done it at home. I haven't done it for a gig yet.
Yeah.
I want to, but I just need to like kind of get my levels in order before I
I'm
try
just
that.
asking the it sounds so great top to bottom, but I do know for me personally, depending on the gig, if I needed a whole lot of options that I would get from like a digital pedal board with the built-in expression pedal and the whole nine, it's easier just to run out, but I'd still want the great the speaker is freaking phenomenal,
Yeah.
and the power section just
Yeah, I
sounds
mean,
good.
if you were like using like if you had a Helix or something,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
you could just plug it into the loop and just use the power section of it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and that like I understand like you know like wanting. I don't think if I was using Modeler, I definitely would think I would still want a 2 power section.
Yeah.
I don't think I could.
I agree
could
with you
handle.
100%.
I could barely even fathom like using a modeler, let alone like having to like use a modeler and solid state.
Right.
Like I need that.
Yeah,
I
that's
need that
great.
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome, because I personally I hate sacrificing tone, but then there is that time where you're just like, I also don't want 10,000 pedals and hire 2 people to pick them.
Well, it's like what does the gig call for at a
Exactly.
given moment too.
Exactly, and that's
Yeah.
great that this is versatile enough to handle that.
And that's part of knowing your equipment is kind of playing within yourself, and that includes your equipment too.
Yeah.
Because you see guys go to gigs all the time, and they start laying out equipment they're never gonna use, or that they haven't mastered, and that's even worse.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they hit the wrong pedal, and all of a sudden it's just screaming feedback, and you know, why is it even on the pedal board? So I think a lot of times, you know, we use this term all the time, less is more. This time kind of, you know, less is a lot more in this little
Yeah.
amp. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot you could do and still keep it simple.
Oh yeah.
Although it is extremely sort of seductive to think about like setting them up in stereo or
I do wish I had another one.
you know,
That
that
would
could
be
be
super
super
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
But
Because I would probably gig with that pretty often, like if I had another one.
right.
Just don't even go there.
I was gonna say,
Right.
yeah.
Just don't even
We'll get the commission check.
go there.
Awesome.
Womp womp.
Anybody else? Anything? Any other comments?
I love it.
Yeah, it sounded great. So cool. That's the Friedman Dirty Shirley
Mini.
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 The little one.
The little one. Peace. Go.